Welcome to rSlash, Am I the Butthole, where OP gets bullied by her own teacher. Am I the butthole for weaponizing my femininity by crying since the teacher wouldn't stop another student harassing me? Backstory, I'm a 15-year-old girl, and I lost my mom when I was 5. My dad raised me alone until last year when my second dad, whom I call Papa, moved to our home. Now we're a happy family of 4, me, 2 dads, and my dog. I'm not ashamed of my family, so I never hid it. I'm not really popular at school, so I just told my friends about it, and everything was fine, until about 2 months ago a boy called Duncan found out. Duncan started simple with jokes like, "Wow, which one of them is the mom?" I promptly told the teacher, Mr. Smith, who was like, "He's just trying to understand. If you want people to understand you, you have to be patient." Duncan started to escalate with, "Enjoy your time here. It'll get worse when your sinner family goes to hell." And again, I went to Mr. Smith, who again said, "You can't be prejudiced with his religion. It's wrong in the Bible. He's just trying to understand." In my country, every class only has one responsible teacher, so I couldn't go to another teacher. I have so many examples, but this next story really paints the picture. After 2 months of that, I realized that if I wanted him to stop, I had to do it myself. So when he started his homophobic garbage at the cafeteria, I started to remember the saddest things that I could. All the movies I've ever seen where the dog dies. All the sad romance movies. Mufasa's death, The Fox and the Hound, etc. It didn't take long for the waterworks to come. I started to bawl. Ugly sobbing while basically screaming at him, asking why he said that I would go to hell, why he hated me and my dads. Just making a huge scene. Duncan started to stutter and plead, trying to make me go to class with him to talk to my teacher. I wonder why. I just cried louder and flinched when he tried to pull me away. The scene was so huge that we ended up in the principal's office. Mrs. Yates listened to both sides, and she was pissed at Mr. Smith. She let me tell the whole story, even when Mr. Smith tried to interrupt me to defend Duncan. At the end, Duncan got a 5-day suspension, and the principal told me to go directly to her if anything like that ever happened again. When we left the office, Mr. Smith stopped me and said, "I hope you're happy. You put a permanent mark on a good boy's record because you decided to weaponize your femininity instead of being a little understanding." He tried to make me apologize to Duncan, but I told him I would go right back to the principal's office if he did, and he dropped it. Then later, Duncan's friends started messaging me, accusing me of acting like Amber Heard and ruining a boy's life just because I can. I didn't tell my parents yet because they're always afraid that I'll suffer because they chose to love each other, and this is something that I can handle, so I don't want to worry them. I don't feel like I'm in the wrong, but with Mr. Smith's warning and Duncan's friends, I'm starting to doubt. So, am I the butthole? And then OP posted an update. On Sunday, I sat my dads down and I told them everything. I was crying a bit at the end, since while telling them, I realized how heavy it felt to be carrying all of this. Sunday was the first time that I saw the angry side of my stepfather, but not at me, at Mr. Smith. He saw red, and the first thing he did was reassure me that I wasn't in trouble and I would never be in trouble for fighting against bullies. My dad didn't talk much. He seemed so sad and shocked, just holding my hand. But my stepfather talked more than I ever heard him talk about his past, about bullying from teachers, students, church, and even family. He told me about how cruel the world can be to people who are different, how people will try to silence me and minimize my anger and my suffering, and I should never back down, and that I'll always have my family behind me. He thanked me for loving them so much that I was willing to fight for them, but told me that I was a child here, his child that he never imagined that he could have, and that he would protect me. I didn't realize how much he loved me. I knew that my stepfather liked me. I mean, he's family, but I felt just as loved as when Dad tells me that he loves me. It was a really nice and a warm feeling. My dad and my stepfather went to school with me on Monday, straight to Mrs. Yates' office, and told her everything. About the text from Duncan's friends, about Mr. Smith, and I explained the bullying in even greater detail. My dads gave Mrs. Yates 2 choices. Either she removes Mr. Smith from teaching and do a seminar with the teachers about bullying and LGBT causes that my dads are willing to pay for. Or they remove me from the school, sue the school, and go to the local newspaper with the story. Mrs. Yates chose the first option, but asked for a month to find another teacher. Meanwhile, she's going to monitor my class closely, and Mr. Smith won't be allowed to penalize my grades like some of the people in the thread feared. Apparently, my stepdad is a bit more experienced dealing with this stuff than I knew. Yeah, OP, I guess it's kind of obvious now that you posted the update, but you are not the butthole here. It's like your stepdad said, you're the child in this scenario, and your teachers have a responsibility to protect you, which they didn't do. Clearly, Mr. Smith is on Duncan's side. I'm giving Duncan 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Mr. Smith 4.5 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving you, your parents, and Mrs. Yates all 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my fiancé that she's not the breadwinner if she's not footing the bills in front of our families and friends? My fiancé and I moved in together shortly after we got engaged. Before we did, we discussed how we'd split the housework and bills. It would be 50-50 down the middle, with some wiggle room for when the other person needs help. When we moved, it was into her parents' 2-story garage that they converted into basically an apartment. They offered a low rent, $700 a month, and pitch in for the electric and internet so we could save money for our own place and wedding. My fiancé earns more than me, and that's cool, I'm proud of her. Before we moved in together, it always seemed like she was living paycheck to paycheck, and I chalked it up to the apartment that she had before having insanely high rent. She stuck to the 50-50 arrangement at first concerning bills, but she missed payments often, and I had to remind her about it. Post-engagement, she's back to living paycheck to paycheck, and either misses payments entirely or is very late with rent, utilities, groceries, or her car payments. Her parents have talked to her multiple times about rent, and I've covered her missing portion to get us caught up, and then I try talking to her. It always turns into her saying that we should just move if her parents are going to hound us. I told her we're lucky that it's her parents, because anywhere else they would have kicked us onto the streets. On top of that, I pay my own bills, do about 65% of the housework, arrange and pay for most of our dates and vacations, gifts for her, and pay most towards our pets. What really bothers me is whenever we're around others, she boasts about being the breadwinner since she earns more. She goes on about the stresses of being the main source of income and all the hours she has to work to pay our bills. I was letting all of this slide until a few days ago that we were at a get-together. She and her sister started up again about her being the breadwinner. Her sister said something to the effect of her ex-boyfriend had a hard time being with someone who earned more than he did. And my fiancé went, "Good thing OP doesn't mind me bringing home more money." I told her that just because she earns more, that doesn't make her the breadwinner when she blows all of her money on herself and leaves me to pay most of the bills. She's embarrassed now and keeps saying that I made her look bad and got her in trouble with her parents because they want to see what she spends her money on each month now. But I don't think that I did anything wrong. Am I the butthole? Okay, so apparently it's okay for your girlfriend to criticize you in public, but you can't criticize her in public? OP, you're engaged to a hypocrite. I hope you see this as the red flag that it is and either work it out with her or leave before it's too late. Also, her wanting to leave her parents' apartment for $700 a month rent is just nuts. That's an amazing deal. Anyways, OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving her 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for kicking my husband's friends out of the pool? At the moment, I'm working and my husband isn't. My husband has been struggling to find a job for 16 months, so I've been solely paying for everything. As you know, it's summertime, and the kids want to go to the beach every weekend, but I'm busy working often, and my husband won't bother to take them unless he uses my car, which is a no from me because I need it for work. So instead, I put money towards renovating and upgrading our old pool so the kids could use it. The thing is, once the pool was ready, my husband started inviting his friends to come over and use it for hours. They've basically taken over the pool and prevented the kids from enjoying it. They complained about being denied the pool several times, which caused them to get upset. So I talked to my husband about it, telling him to limit his friends' usage of the pool. He flipped out at me, saying that it's his house and water too, and I can't control what he does or who he brings. I got mad and said that tomorrow the kids get to use the pool, or else I'm gonna ban his friends from it completely. He gave me the side eye and said, "Fine, they can have the damn pool tomorrow." Well, the next day, my daughter called me crying, saying that her dad brought his friends over and refused to let her and her brother play in the pool. I was livid. I literally left work right then and went home. I saw my husband and his friends in the pool messing around, and I just screamed my head off at them, telling them to get out. My husband tried to get involved, but I told him that he and his friends had to all leave. He blew up at me for acting like a lunatic and said that I was being controlling and shameless. I said that I already told him to let the kids play in the pool, and yet he ignored my requests. He yelled at me, saying just because I paid to fix the pool doesn't mean that I own it. He then went back inside and started calling his friends one by one to apologize on my behalf, since he said that I was too shameless to do it myself. He then left the house and hasn't been back yet. Yo, this guy sent his crying daughter away so he could, drink beers in the pool with his buddies? And who are these guys? He doesn't have a job. OP's working, so presumably this is during a work day. Are they not working either? It's just a bunch of guys who don't have jobs hanging out in a pool, kicking kids out of the pool because they want to hang out. What? Look, okay, it's okay to hang out with your friends in the pool. If your husband wants to do that, that's fine. To do it all the time at the expense of his own kids crying, that is already way too far. The fact that he does this day after day after day instead of looking for a job to support his wife and his family is awful. I mean, I don't want to be sexist. Maybe it's okay that he's a stay-at-home dad. It doesn't really sound like it from the post. It sounds like you expect him to work and he's supposed to be working. So if that's the case, then I have a pretty good idea of why he can't find a job. Because he spends all the time that he should spend looking for jobs instead hanging out with his friends. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your husband gets 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. He's acting like a literal teenager. Am I the butthole for showing my missing eye to the new teacher after he told me my bangs are disrespectful? I had an accident when I was a baby and I lost my left eye. I don't have an eye socket that I could put a fake eye in. It's just normal skin and some scars on a big patch on my face. The right side and bottom half of my face are completely normal. I have big side bangs that hide the left side of my face so I don't freak anyone out and I don't get weird looks. I've been going to the same school since I was 5, so the teachers and the kids know about this. We got a new teacher this week. He started by asking us to go around and introduce ourselves. When he got to me, he was rude and asked me, "Do your parents know you come to school looking like this? It's extremely disrespectful. Fix your bangs. I want to see your face." So I obeyed and tucked my bangs behind my ear, showing off the left side of my face. He gasped, his face turned red, and my classmates laughed, and he told me I could let my bangs back down. Later that day, my head teacher came to me to scold me. She told me that I was wrong to shock the new teacher, and I should have just told him about it. Did I do anything wrong? I just obeyed his orders. It's not my fault that he ended up not wanting to look at my face. Am I the butthole? And then OP posted an update. My mom went in to talk to the head teacher. It turns out the new teacher made it sound like I was playing a prank on him, trying to deliberately shock him and make fun of him in front of the class. 3 of my classmates had to be called in to confirm my part of the story. The head teacher apologized, called it an unfortunate misunderstanding, and told us she would clear it up with the new teacher, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't believe that it was just a misunderstanding. It sounds like the new teacher deliberately lied. OP, you are super not the butthole in this story. Even if you weren't missing this eye, this guy was still being disrespectful to you by saying that your hair is a problem. Like, it's not his business. If you want to have bangs, you can have bangs. Then he lied to other teachers and said that he was being bullied by the girl with the missing eye. Give me a break. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. This guy gets 3 out of 5 buttholes. He has 0 business being a teacher. He's literally using his authority to put down and bully children. Am I the butthole for bringing my baby to a child-free wedding? My cousin lives a 6-hour drive from me and the rest of our family. A few months ago, we all drove over there for his wedding. Due to limited space, no children were invited to the wedding except for the bride's young nieces and nephews. My baby was 10 months old at the time, and I wasn't comfortable leaving him alone in an unfamiliar place with a stranger, which was a babysitter that my other cousins hired for their own kids. So, I decided to bring him to the wedding. I wrote on the RSVP that I was bringing him, but he would be sitting on my lap, and I'd bring my own food for him. My cousin didn't say anything, so I assumed that he was okay with it. My baby cried at the ceremony, but I quickly took him out of the room. At the reception, I had him with me the whole time in a baby carrier. He didn't make much of a fuss, and I thought everything was okay. After the wedding, my aunt confronted me and told me that I was rude for bringing my baby without permission. I explained that I wrote on the RSVP what I was planning to do, but my cousin didn't object. She said that my cousin and his bride had a problem with it, but the bride didn't want to start any drama because she doesn't know me well. My other cousin's baby was 7 months old at the time, and my aunt said that he had no problems leaving his baby with a certified babysitter, and I should have done the same. And some of my cousins were upset because they thought the groom gave me special treatment by letting me bring my baby and making them leave all their kids with a babysitter. I didn't mean to start any drama. Am I the butthole?
Yeah, OP, you literally broke the one and only rule they gave you. And they gave you that rule so that your baby wouldn't do the one thing that babies always do during weddings, which is cry and disrupt the ceremony. And your baby did exactly that. So, yeah, you're a self-entitled Karen. If you didn't want to leave your baby with a babysitter, then you could have just not attended. OP, you get 3 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.